Greetings ladies and gentlefish, and in this video we're going to take a look at gameplay from a pair of lightly armoured German machines. We are kicking off proceedings with Jakefa. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm going to call him Jake because it makes my life easier. He's from the Seal clan. For those who don't know, that is a rather good clan on the EU servers. And he's driving the Leopard 1, which is, if you ask me, one of the sexiest tanks in the game. It is a beautiful machine. He's here on the highway map. It is obviously a tier 10 game, and he's taking up some fairly aggressive positioning, and there's a T-54 lightweight, but he doesn't manage to land a shot on him. Ah, well, never mind. Now he's got this building as cover between him and all of the bad guys up toward the base, but if there is anyone over in that location, that can be a problem. I must admit, this is the reason I don't personally come over to this bit of the map. Now, judging by the fact that he's in Seal, I'm sure Jake is a far better WOT player than I am, so I'm not trying to sound like I know, stuff a lot better than he does. Just kind of trying to give a rationale as to why I don't go down there. And as it is right at the beginning of the game, Jake has therefore lost, what, 800 health for no damage done to the enemy team. Is that going to come to bite Jake back on the bum later on even? Well, only time will tell. He does, however, manage to put a shot into the E50M, but gets spotted out for his trouble. There's also, of course, an Object 140 there, and the Leopard has many things going for it. Namely, it's very fast and has a pretty sweet gun, but the problem is it is armoured with tissue paper and wishful thinking. Anything that points its gun in the Leopard's vague vicinity will do damage. When the Germans designed this tank, they were very much thinking, well, there's heat ammo and anti-tank missiles flying around anyway, so who on earth needs armour? Yeah, go figure, and try to ignore the rather poncy and angry Jagdtiger in chat. E100 here now. You can see Jake has switched out to heat ammunition for the E100 to try and maximise his chances of getting a penetration on the guy, but switches back to APCR when it becomes apparent he won't really have a shot. So he's not willy-nilly slapping premium ammo everywhere. He's, being intelligent to try and use it where it will actually be most helpful. M103 there, Jake takes a shot, but again gets spotted for his trouble. Not quite sure who by, but by someone. And he's just trying to find shots on people. He's come all the way over here to try and help his allies around the vicinity of the town. He might actually now be able to get shots back onto the M103, I'm not sure. And, yeah, there we go. No, M103 is no longer spotted. Jake gets spotted again. There's the E100, and Jake manages to put in a really nice shot through the front track, through the drive axle, to damage that E100. Second one, that angle, that was going to be a dodgy penetration, difficult to penetrate. Manages to get himself into the cover of the town, but there's an SU-122-54, and he's unlucky as his shot does not connect, but the SU's shot does connect. E100 is still over here, so there's a shot in the lower front plate for him to remember Jake by. And the SU-122-54 takes a big hit. Jagdpanzer gets taken down. Jake gets a little lucky there as his tracks eat the shot that he would have otherwise taken, and he's able to execute the Conqueror, who just blithely comes round that corner, despite the fact that it's really obvious he's going to eat 105mm of pain. Oh well, what are you going to do? That's Jake's first kill. Now, we've still got this SU-122-54. Hello, Mr. Batchat. Have some damage, Mr. Batchat. And an E100 to take on. There's the E100 in question. Jake is going to go around, try and come up the rear. E100 isn't necessarily making it difficult, though, by just giving Jake his big fat booty. And the E100 takes another shot, and the big, slow, lumbering, stupid heavy tank gets put out of his misery as Jake picks up his second kill. Now the friendly team are winning 8 kills to 6. And there's that M103 from earlier on, and this is the sort of engagement... Oh, and an IS-8. This is the sort of engagement that the Leopard loves. Has a really nice, punchy, accurate gun. It likes shooting things from a long way away. And there's the M103, take some damage. But if you notice, Jake's team have just taken a couple of casualties. It'd be really nice if you could pick up that IS-8. Or put some more damage down into the M103 as they are both pressuring the friendly base. And there we go. IS-8 is moving across, so it'd be really good to get a kill on him, like that. And now if Jake can put some damage into the flank of that M103, it'll only take 2 shots to silence this guy. 1 more, and this fellow is gone. But this M103 isn't a complete muppet. He realises he's taking shots into the flank and so tries to get himself into cover and even manages to execute the friendly Waffle Panzer IV into the bargain. So there we go. Friendly Batchat also falls, leaving the friendly team 9 kills to 10 worse off. And Jake is trying to make his way back to the base to help where possible. There's a full health Jagdpanzer E100 who can also put some fire down toward the base as long as guys get spotted. Though of course he's probably going to be target priority 1 through 7 for the enemy Conqueror gun carriage, so that could be a problem. E50M is pushing into the Jagdtiger, and that should be hopefully a kill shot on the M103. And there we go, there's kill number 4 for Jake. But he does get spotted into the bargain. Very nice move there. Dips down into the river to take some cover once he realises that he's been spotted, and in doing so he manages to dodge the shot from the E50M. The Ally T92, it says he was lost in battle. I'm wondering if that guy just drove up to a wall and shotgunned HE into the wall to kill himself. If he did, he's a scumbag and I have no respect for him at all. If he didn't, then I apologise. But given the battle message, my money is on him doing that. Don't understand why you would do that, but there we go. Some people are like that. Batchat. Goodbye, Batchat. There's kill number 5. The friendly team is still only 1 kill down, but now the Jagdpanzer E100 is in a slightly awkward position because there's this Object 140 who will be able to shoot him in the butt if he tries to turn around to help the friendly base, and if he doesn't try to turn around to help the friendly base, the E50 will shoot him in the butt. So it's a bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. As it is, the E50 has his hands full dealing with Jake. And we have a battle of the German mediums, but the enemy German medium has some Soviet backup. Oh dear. That, of course, is a T-62A, one of the other Soviet Tier 10 medium tanks. There are, of course, 3, and they are very, very similar. But there we go. And hello, Mr. E50. That goes into the front of your turret, but Jake takes a shot himself. T-62A, maybe he wants some, but he doesn't have the gun depression to pop over that ridgeline safely. And so here we have quite an interesting little stalemate. Jake gets spotted, unfortunately, but I imagine the enemy Conqueror gun carriage's attention is taken up with that Jagdpanzer E100. I could of course be wrong, but that is my expectation. The Jagdpanzer E100 has lost 1,400 health since we last saw him, and I imagine a lot of that is due to the enemy artillery. And hello, Mr. E50, and that was a bad bounce. It would have been really nice if that had penned. T-62A is using the opportunity to come over and try and shoot Jake, but all he does is take 105mm of pain for his trouble. He doesn't even pop over at the right time, and he's just going to get himself killed here as Jake picks up his Top Gun medal. E50M, Conqueror gun carriage, and the Object 140 are the 3 enemy tanks remaining. That was a shot from possibly the E50, possibly the Object, probably the E50 given where he is. And Jake is trying to do something about him. Really dodgy situation here though. Doesn't want to die to the E50, doesn't want to die to the Object 140, but would really like to execute the E50. Why is the E50 looking that way? What a wombat. There's kill number 7. And to give credit to the friendly Jagdtiger, he does say well played to Jake in his Leopard. Now, I've no idea why Jake I think Jake had the heat round there loaded to try and guarantee the kills on the E50M. Switches back to APCR because heat against the Object 140 I don't really think it gives him any advantages and potentially gives him a number of disadvantages. Now, hopefully this engagement is 2-on-1 plus of course artillery, but there we go. Object 140 puts one shot into the Jagdpanzer, Jake puts a shot into the Object 140, and the Jagdpanzer flubs his shot and dies to the object. Oh. Well, balls. Okay. Jake has 42 health, and he is against a Conqueror gun carriage, but more to the point, an almost completely full health Object 140. This is gonna be really awkward. He loads heat, though I'm not really sure why, if I'm honest. The longer shell travel time of the heat ammo means that I don't really understand why you would be using it in this situation. I mean, the Object 140's turret has enough angles that I'm not even sure the added penetration from the heat is worth it. He does, however, manage to put one shot into the object, sets the guy on fire, but he clearly has an automatic fire extinguisher. That fire goes out, and Jake does get spotted for his trouble. And gets spotted again, takes a shot, but it bounces. Conqueror gun carriage goes off a little bit too early. Jake has the time to aim this shot properly, and it misses. Still really not sure why Jake's firing heat ammo, but never mind, doesn't matter. There we go, there is the kill on the Conqueror gun carriage, and that is Jake's Radley Walters medal. And apparently the Conqueror gun carriage thinks that hacks were involved. No, not really, it's called you being able to be shot from across the map. You were spotted, you were then unspotted, but you hadn't moved. Just because someone can't see you doesn't mean they can't shoot you. I mean, if you're not going to use your WASD keys and move, don't be surprised if someone puts you out your misery, especially if you're artillery. Anyway, one-on-one engagement. Jake versus the Object 140. This is a really dicey engagement. The Object 140 has the health advantage. I think it will take Jake about another 2, maybe 3 shots to kill the object, and the object only needs the 1 shot to kill Jake. The object has the lower alpha damage, but that doesn't matter at the moment, and the object reloads faster, and has sublime gun handling stats, and more armour. Although Jake does have some gun depression and better mobility. Either way, this is going to be a really hard engagement for Jake to win, but let's see how we can do. Trying to come up on this Object 140, I think he's trying to come up from an unexpected direction. He's got the time to do that, and if the object doesn't have his gun pointed in Jake's direction, then this could be exactly the sort of thing that Jake wants to get. Come on, take your time, you've got 25 seconds before you need to reset this guy. There he is, back off so that the chap can't see you. That's it, nice one, and there's a shot in. Just do that again. Oh no, the guy's gone behind a building now. Oh, and now heat is very definitely a bad choice of ammunition because all of those buildings and crud in the way will stop the heat shot dead in its tracks. But now the object's coming for him. 1 shot goes in, and the object manages to execute Jake there. Ah, that was almost a glorious, glorious, glorious game. But as it is, the Object 140, with just under 300 health, was able to pull that through to a win. So let's go and have a look at the post-battle results and see exactly how painful that one was. There we go. Oh dear. That's a nasty result. Ace Tanker, Bruiser, Fire for Effect, Defender, High Caliber, Tank Sniper, Top Gun, and a Radley Walters medal, but still a loss. Yeah, it kinda sucks. 8,244 damage done, 8 kills, 1,414 base experience, easily outstripping anyone else in the game. 33 shots fired, 29 hits, 25 penetrations for that damage count, most of which was actually from relatively close range. 1,500 assistance damage, over 6 kilometers travelled. Just a painful, painful game. If I were to critique it, I would say that I think the health Jake lost at the beginning, I don't know, to me that position that he went to never seems to work, and so I don't like going there. Maybe it's worked for him in the past and hence he goes there, and fair enough if that's the case. But in this particular instance, it did cost him a large chunk of his health that if he had had at the end, he could have used against the enemy Object 140 and would have emerged victorious in that case, most likely. The other thing is I found his ammunition selection at various points a little bit strange, but let's not take away from him. Over 8,000 damage is a fantastic result, and it's a massive shame that he wasn't actually able to win that game. So, I did say that I had another replay for you. Let's move on to that one. Here's our second game then, and we are joining Sven123 Crow in his Tier 8 German light tank, the RU-251 Sparpanzer, and he's platooned up with the good guy 007 in his WZ-132, so it's a Tier 8 light tank platoon. Both of these guys are from one of the QSF clans, so one of the clans that is affiliated with Quickie Baby. And this is a Tier 9 maximum game. So these guys are, if you want to think about it like that, top tier, inverted commas. Because of course, Tier 8 light tanks get match made as if they are tanks 1 tier higher. So they see a Tier 8 light tank will see Tier 9 to 10 games. And straight away, there's a poor comment. So the RU-251, I have actually put up my own video with gameplay in, although it was just my sort of initial games in the tank. It was nothing particularly special. So I would, in terms of how to play the tank, I would advise paying far more attention to Sven than you ever did to anything I've put up in it. Sven clearly seems to know what he's doing. However, up here, it's a little bit crowded, if I'm honest. This position is a good position, but with an RU-251, an M46 pattern, and a T-54 first prototype, like I say, it gets a little bit crowded up here. Now, Sven's buddy in the WZ-132 has taken up position at B5. There's a couple of rock positions on the B line that you tend to find light tanks like to go to, and kind of what's his name, the good guy 007 has taken up a position on one rock formation, and one of the enemy light tanks, the AMX 1390, has taken up position on the other formation. Speaking of which, let's just have a quick look at the matchmaking here. There are, hello Mr. AMX, quite a few light tanks, a couple of tank destroyers, couple of medium tanks and some heavy tanks on each team. No artillery, and Sven picks up his first kill on that AMX 1390, which is nice. Good thing the AMX wasn't looking at him with that 90mm autoloader. He could have done a significant amount of damage to Sven's tank otherwise. Although I imagine if he had been looking at Sven, Sven wouldn't have been sitting out there ready to shoot him. So, yeah. Either way, Sven is the one who picks up the kill. There's the enemy Störer Emil, and Sven picks up his second kill on him. So the gun that you get on the RU-251 is a 90mm gun with, I think it's 190 penetration? Yeah, 190 pen, 240 alpha. Interesting high explosive rounds. They're quite high penetration, over 100 pen with this 90mm HE. And heat rounds are pretty standard. 250 odd pen? Yeah, 250 pen, 240 alpha. The single worst thing about the gun, I would say, is the really bad shell velocity. It takes the shells forever to get to their target. The accuracy is usable, if not spectacular, but it's that shell velocity that's really quite poor. Gun depression is 5 degrees, but if you point the gun over the sides of the tank, that goes up to 8 degrees. So that's something it has in common with some of the higher tier German medium tanks, better gun depression over the sides than the front or rear. When you get used to it, I find that it's not a massive problem. It's something that, well, you can just get used to. So Sven's relocated on the basis that his previous position was rapidly becoming untenable. The enemy were just pushing up a little bit hard, and as with all light tanks, the RU-251 is not the sort of machine you want to be having to hold a position in. Flanking shots into the enemy Foch. There's one shot, but he appears to be looking in this direction. That shot was very unlikely to ever penetrate. That shot into the side, however. Oh, unfortunately missed. Come on. There we go. One more shot would finish this guy off if he gets the opportunity for it. I don't know why the fellow's still sitting there. And the shot actually misses, giving the enemy Foch a bit of a reprieve. There we go. Don't know why the Foch was just sitting there. There's kill number 3 for Sven. Scoreline is 9-9, so the scores are even. But if you look at the tanks left on either team, the enemy team has one of its tier 9s left, that Type 94. The friendly team, not so much. The closest they have to a tier 9 is Sven in his RU-251 light tank. The enemy, of course, if we're going to count tier 8 lights as tier 9s, also have that T-49. But of the two, I think it's fairly comfortable to say the RU-251 is the better machine. Rheinmetall Borsig off in the background. Sven, you could argue that he could be loading his high explosive here to try and kill the guy that little bit faster, but the flip side is that Sven is not properly aiming these shots, and so the HE rounds might be a little bit unreliable. Either way, Sven successfully manages to pick up kill number 4. Leaving the friendly team 11 kills to 9, the better off. And he says in chat, I love my RU. I don't blame him. I've found it to be a very fun tank to play. IS-3, there's a shot into him. But Sven does get spotted for his trouble, so he has to be a little bit careful here. Although we know where all the enemy team are, there's an IS-3 down here who is really not paying particularly good attention to what's going on. Far more interested in the T-54 first prototype in front of him. And he appears to also be firing high explosive because he only did 125 to that T-54. Oh dear. It's one of those guys. Finally, no, still hasn't managed to kill the T-54. Meanwhile, Sven just farms him for his life, and there's kill number 5. Scoreline is now 13-10. There are only 2 enemy tanks left. But a lot of the tanks left on Sven's team are tier 7. Sven is down to his heat ammunition. He's burned through all of his armor piercing. But hopefully that shouldn't stop him from murderizing the last guys on the enemy team. Now, the Type 4 Heavy has very thick armor. Even if you're firing this heat ammunition, it's no slouch. But if you do manage to get shots into his bum, then I guess go for it. Second shot. I mean, 240 Alpha chips away at this 2000 health relatively slowly, but there we go. Put 2 shots in. There's, of course, the enemy IS-3. Hopefully the other friendlies can put some pain into these guys. Though, well, I'm not gonna hold out too much hope, especially with the friendly teammates bickering with each other in chat. IS-3 trying to get shots on Sven. Sven's trying to use his gun depression to shoot the IS-3, but it's a rather tricky affair. IS-3 appears to be coming around to try and nail Sven in the face, but Sven is probably going to have something to say about that, and the dubious gun depression on the IS-3 is not going to do the dog any favours. They do, however, trade shot for shot. Sven clearly has the reload advantage, so he tries to push it to take advantage of that, and puts in 2 shots for the IS-3's 1, meaning that Sven has out-traded him in health, and actually manages to put 3 shots in for that IS-3's 1. So that was a good trade for Sven in the end. Just this Type 4 Heavy remaining then, and Sven has nice big fat shots into the guy's side, although he angles just as Sven pulls the trigger. Sod's law. Side of the turret, there we go. This ISU is just trying to occupy the Type 4 Heavy's time, as the ISU has basically 0 chance of penetrating this chap frontally, unless he manages to shoot him. I think just through that front axle at a slight angle would do the job. Sven is down to 3 heat shells, however. Now, that should kill the Type 4 Heavy, but not frontally. So Sven loads a high explosive round, and, well, 90mm high explosive against a Type 4 Heavy. It's probably not going to do a vast amount. If you can chip him down to 480, that at least means the guy will be a 2-shot with average heat damage rolls. So, down to those last 3 heat rounds, and he's just telling his platoon mate there, sorry I got tongue-tied, is telling him to cap. This is a slightly dodgy engagement, because if Sven can't penetrate one of these heat rounds, it is it's distinct possibility that he won't actually be able to kill the Type 4 Heavy. Depends how much damage that last HE round did, and even then it might be a bit of a close run thing. And really, to penetrate reliably, even with this heat ammunition, Sven needs side and rear shots. The ISU-122, without loading high HE, has very limited opportunity to penetrate the Type 4 Heavy. But this is incredibly clever play. By driving into the enemy capture circle, Sven can just sit here and bore the game out. The Type 4 Heavy it's a slow and ponderous machine. It's not going to make it back to his friendly base in time to defend it. Meanwhile, the M46 Patton and IS-3 are continuing having their slapping match, despite the fact that they both sucked and both died. So that just leaves Sven here to carry the game like a boss. I'm just going to speed this up a little bit, because watching someone cap in the base can be a rather tedious affair. And we're just approaching that 90, there we go, 91, 92, 93, no sign of the Type 4 Heavy. I'm saying that the Type 4 Heavy can't get back. I don't think it can get back, but don't quote me on that. And there we go, Sven is indeed able to capture the base, although it looks like the enemy Type 4 Heavy had a blind shot right at the end on the off chance that he might manage to reset Sven's capturing efforts. So, all things considered, a very well played game there. Let's just switch back and go and have a look at the post-battle results. So a really impressive result there from the RU-251s, driven by Sven123 Crow, and he does actually acknowledge in his own description that he wants a big shout out to the good guy 007, his platoon mate there, because without him, Sven would probably have tried to kill the Type 4 Heavy. It was his platoon mate who suggested capping, and whilst Sven may still have managed to win that game, capping really secured the win and made sure they got that victory. So, ace tanker there for Sven in his RU-251, very well deserved. Bruiser, fire for effect, tank sniper, high caliber, top gun, and of course that invader medal. 5,929 damage done, 6 kills, 1,664 base experience, easily outstripping anyone on either team. And just for the sake of completeness, if we just try and compare various tanks on the friendly team, there were two players who were having a bit of an arguing match. The M46 Patton, who managed a grand total of 1,600 damage, which in a tier 9 tank with that matchmaking is not very good, and one of the IS-3s, not sure which one, but neither of them did spectacularly well either. It was really all about Sven. Commiserations to the enemy IS-3 there, Heisenberg 86, who managed just shy of 4k damage before being taken down. So a good effort from him, and a reasonable effort from the Type 4 Heavy as well. 38 shots fired, 36 hits, 29 penetrations for that damage count, most of which was from more than 300 meters. 100 base capture points, of course, pardon me, I apologise for that. 105 assistance damage, which for a light tank, you know, is one of those games where you were doing more shooting than assisting. And you might look at that and go, wow, Sven burned through a lot of premium ammo, look at those ammunition costs. Yeah, he did, but only because he'd run out of armor piercing and high explosive, so it was his only ammo type left, you know. Well, he was using the heat before he'd run out of HE, to be fair. Either way, it was what he had left, and what he really needed to use, well, kind of really needed to use against that Type 4 Heavy. Anyway, all things considered, a really nice game there from Sven123 Crow from QSFC, I think it was. Let's just have a quick look. QSFC, yep, and I thought it would be nice to end on a bit of a lighter note rather than the poor, painful defeat that we saw in the previous game with the Leopard 1. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that pair of games. If you did, by all means, feel free to catch some of my other videos and or subscribe to my channel, and I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao, ciao.